Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Betty with Betty Franks Art, and in this vlog I'm going to be walking you through a week before an art show that I'm doing in Half Moon Bay, California at the end of July 2022. And before we get started, first, coffee. I love using this frother because it always makes my coffee kind of extra special when I'm making it at home. My mornings often start off at home, and I work out of my bedroom office, and that's where we're headed to next. So this is where I hang out most mornings, where I do a lot of my computer work and what I like to refer to as my desk work. So this is all admin stuff going on. There's my somewhat view, and I'm here in San Jose, California. Now I'm at the studio getting ready. I always like to change into my painting clothes because there's this thing about paint. It just, when I'm near it, it flies out and just jumps on me. Getting my Crocs on. I love these, so comfortable. We're going to go right into doing some mark making, and I'm going to slow this down in just a moment or two, but I started off with doing a whole lot of preparation in terms of finishing up 7 pieces that I had that were just about done, and this is one of them. This one I had created in my last workshop, which was in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and that was at the beginning of July, end of June, beginning of July. And what happened was when I brought it back with me in my suitcase, some of the edges the paint messed up. And so I am using a combination of both painting and mark making on that one. And then here I realized after it was up, I was about to get started, I had already signed it. It's already completely done. So I'm going to move through a number of these, and then I'm going to slow down the video for you so that I can walk you through the way I like to do my final mark making on all my pieces.
Hey there. So I've been working on finishing up several pieces of my art. I'm getting ready for a show that I'm going to be doing in Half Moon Bay at the end of July 2022. And I've got these pieces that I did the painting part of them, but I just needed to finish them up with mark making, so that's what you were seeing me work on, several of them. I've got a couple more to go, but I thought I'd slow down the video a bit here and just talk a little bit through my process of my final mark making. So unlike the very beginning of my process where I am really free and kind of scribbling all over the place and kind of connecting with that canvas that way, my mark making at the very end of a piece is much more intentional. So what I'm looking to do is to just add that kind of icing on the cake so that the piece, when you walk up to it, you get kind of some sweet little surprises, as opposed to viewing it from across the room where you're seeing it from kind of a different angle. So I like it when people walk up close that they get even more goodies, so to speak. So that's what I'm going to work on here. So I usually start off with a pencil most of the time. So just a normal number 2 pencil. So I'll get in here and I'll just start making some marks. I'm kind of looking around. So this piece has a lot of stuff going on already. So I'm not going to be doing a ton more to it. Oh, actually, I'm not going to do anything to it because I just noticed that my signature is on it, and it was a piece that I already finished. Okay, I think I have one more, so hang in there. I'm going to go grab one more that I saw over there, and hopefully I didn't finish that one. Okay, so we lucked out. I did not do the final mark making on this one. This is my last one of all my completed pieces that I have. So let's talk about the kind of going through this process. So this one, very similar to that last one, has a lot going on in it. So I'm not going to come in with a ton of final mark making, but I do want to add a little bit. So usually I will start, like I said, with a pencil. So I've got my number 2 pencil here, and I'm just going to come in and just see where can I put some marks. Now, with the lead pencil, these marks are not, in your face, really bright. So they're a bit more subtle. I'm just going to come in here. I usually come in with some lines right away. And I'm going to do the side of it as well. So I've got some lines there, maybe come in with some circles somewhere in here. So I've got larger circles here, so I definitely don't want to do some large circles. I'm kind of coming in with some smaller ones. And I don't make these perfect, although they're not scribbles, but they're certainly not perfect either. And I think I put 2 right next to each other because I wasn't paying attention. Okay, and that's what I love about all of these mark making tools that I'll be using, these pencils, crayons. All you need is just a regular eraser to erase anything that you don't like. So don't be afraid to make marks. So I just erase that pencil there, and I'll come back in and put one in there. And I'm going right over like this kind of greenish area into the white area over this dark green circle. And that just adds another layer of depth to my painting. I'm just going to come down here, and I'm going to come around the corner as well. No one's going to see the bottom, right? But I know that I didn't finish it all the way around if I don't go to the bottom and make some marks. So I'm just going to add a few marks down here as well. All right, to me, that feels much more complete if I do all of it. Just like I did the side over here, although the sides here are going to be much more noticeable than the top or the bottom. All right, I think we're good here. Maybe just a couple more. All right, so let's move on to something else. Let's see, I usually pick a color I've already got in here. I've got a little bit of pink, but I'm trying to be subtle on my pink. And sometimes I'll come in and just draw that out a little bit more if I feel like it's too subtle. So I'll just come in, and then I can also smudge that a little bit. Makes it look a little bit more painterly when I can come in and just smudge it. All right, and I've got a little bit of pink here, but I'm not going to do too much. This is really more of the color that's standing out, and these greens here, so kind of like this whole area being more of a, I know we talk, I get lots of questions about focal points and composition. So for me, this piece, the composition, is these flowers meandering through here, and then I've got some blue ones down here that aren't quite as noticeable, and I've got my so-called stepping stones coming in through here as well. So I've got a number of different things going on, but the main focus tends to be up in this area here. All right, so done with that pink. Let's move on to something else. How about, I like this, I think it's ochre. Yes, ochre. This is a Prismacolor pencil. If you're interested in my art supplies, I've got a link down below in the show notes that will take you to a page on my website, and then you have 2 choices. You can go to Amazon to purchase. I've got more stuff on Amazon, I would say, or the other option is Blick. So you have 2 places where you can purchase. Again, these are Prismacolor pencils. Love these. Let me sharpen this one a bit. All right, nice and sharp. Okay, so this is subtle. I've got this color going on here, but I'm going to come in. I really like coming in with scribbles with this color, and I usually do them somewhere up in this corner. Go to the top, go off to the side a bit, go right over some other areas, and then I like to come in with my eraser and just knock it back a bit, so that it's not one continuous line. Let's see if I can get the side here. It's very subtle. I know you're not able to see this on the camera from the distance that we are right now, but it's just something, again, when you walk up close, you're going to see it. You're not going to see it from a distance. All right, so sticking with this pencil, let's see, what else can I do with it? Maybe come over I've got all these circles over here. I've got lines that I put here, maybe some lines here. And I tend to put my lines between two areas. So I've got this greenish area and this grayish area. And what I've discovered is that I used to do a little bit of sewing. My mom taught me how to sew, and I kind of have this love for stitches, and I used to do that in my mixed media work too. I have an old sewing machine, and I would do some stitching in my mixed media work. So I'm kind of like stitching these colors together in a sense. So that's kind of what that represents in my artwork. My love for sewing. Okay, so we've got that in a couple of places. We're good. Let's move on to something else. How about a pink color? Again, a Prismacolor. And let's see. I feel like, you know, I was saying we have very little pink, and I wanted to keep it that way, but this pink is very subtle. So if I came in here, maybe stitch these two together, these two colors, and of course I'm going to go on the back side too. And the back side is kind of crooked, or the bottom side, so I'm just going to follow that around. There we go, like that. Okay, so just a little bit of pink there. I've already got pink in a few places. Let's move on to something else. Now we've got, let's go with the white. This is a woody, Stabilo Woody, and it's crayon-like. It is water soluble, and I love using it. Now I've got this kind of light area, but it's not really white. So sometimes if I want to lighten something a bit more, first of all, I'm going to wipe it off on my apron because it's not really clean. So I can come in and just fill in if I really want to lighten an area that I didn't make white enough. And then I can smudge it a bit with my finger, making sure my finger's clean. It doesn't have another color on it. And so that's something that I can do. You know, I'm okay with the lightness of these colors here. Now I could come in and make some marks with it as opposed to just filling in. So I'm trying to think of, you know, maybe come in, and I think I'll just come in and kind of circle these lightly. Again, not making perfect circles and not perfectly outlining it. I'm slightly off. All right, so I like that. That kind of, it's not too dark, and I'm going to actually smudge it just a little bit to soften it even more. All right, so that's a bit softer. And again, something I notice much more when I'm up close as opposed to, you know, when I step back, I don't notice it as much. And I'm good with that. Okay, let's pick another color. Now, one thing that I like to do is I've got my teal, and I don't know the name of it now, but it's PC992. It's my favorite one from Prismacolor, can you tell? And all of my paintings have this color in it, these marks in it. It's kind of my signature, my way of adding my final signature to a piece. So I've got a bunch of this color here, so maybe I'll actually come over here. I've got some of it here. So I'm just looking for a place, and I'm just adding these little markings. And if you look closely, I think I've got it in almost every single one of my paintings. Some of them, they're harder to find, but they're in there somewhere. And I've been doing this probably for the past year or so. Rarely do I forget to add it, so there might be a few out there without it. All right, so I'm just adding a little bit. Maybe I'll even come around here and add a couple on that side. All right, so let me step back a bit, look at it. And again, we're not changing the overall composition of the piece. We're just enhancing it a little bit. Okay, what else can I do? I've got this orange. Let me sharpen this. So this is actually a watercolor, Derwent watercolor. And I was just thinking I wanted to make this a little bit more orangey up here. It just felt like more of a dirty orange. So just adding a touch. Really, I don't have anywhere else that I absolutely need to add it. So we're good. We've got these oranges happening here already. Okay, so that, I'm trying to think what else can I do here. I really didn't want to do too much. I like the scribbles up there. I feel like this area here needs some scribbles because it's, I don't want to add a lot of chaos to it, but I want to add something that's a bit subtle. So, and maybe I'll just do that with the pencil. One of my students gave me this Gigantico pencil. I love it. It's also a number 2. So, thank you, Lisa. I'll just come in here and add some scribbles, and then again I'm going to just knock it back a bit. I've got a lot in this one area here. Okay, and let me also grab a Neocolor 2 crayon and do something with that. So let me find one that I like. I've got this red one, so, and I have red going on here. I'm just going to add a little bit more red to the outside of that orange, just to enhance it a bit. And over here. Now I don't want to come in with this color like anywhere, well maybe right here just a tiny bit. Just wherever I already have that color. There, kind of smudge that out a bit. I'm not sure that I like that, but okay. So here's an example of if I came in here and I put these lines here. It's like, nah, we don't want that. Grab your eraser, clean it off a bit. Honestly, best way to clean an eraser is on your jeans, but I'm not wearing jeans today, so I'm just going to do it on my, I don't know if you can see, I'm doing it on my apron, and I'm cleaning it, and then I can just come in here and erase it. So, and it's leaving a little bit behind, but not a whole lot. Maybe using red wasn't the best example because it does leave a little bit, but I'm fine with that. It looks fine to me. But it can be erased. You know, we don't see those marks that I originally had. Okay. You know, I think that, I just remembered. So when I'm working on paper, it's a flat and not porous surface because I've already built it up with paint. Here, although I have paint on here, it's canvas, and it went, that Neocolor 2 went into the nooks and crannies, and so that's why I'm having a hard time erasing it all. So keep that in mind. If you're working on paper, it'll be easier to really erase it all, but on canvas, that fabric, it gets woven in there, and it's not as easy to erase. So, all right, let's see, what else can we do? And if you don't like that, you know, you can certainly come in and do something with it. Here's another crayon type. This is, God, I've had this for like 20 years. It's, I don't even remember the name. It's some old company that went out of business many years ago. So, oh, here it is. It's called Stampin' Up. How many of you guys remembered Stampin' Up? Back in the stamping days of, well, stamping days, but also, I guess doing like journal pages. Oh, I don't even remember everything. I know I used to get their whole book of stamps, and I loved that. So anyway, that's what it's called. So I have this, and now this doesn't go with this color, but I was trying to cover up. I'm not making that any better. To be honest with you, let's just erase that too. I thought I would be able to kind of cover up some of these reddish marks, but it ain't happening. So I'm just wondering, is that going to bother me? And if it is, you know what? Let's just get some paint out and go over it. It is kind of bothering me. Here I'm trying to give you a great example, and here's a great example of how to fix something. So I've already got my paintbrush here, and I'm just going to dip right in here just lightly, and I'm going to add some white to it. All right, I was just squeezing out some white. All right, and this is going to be too light, so let's add a little bit more. Okay. Ah, it's close. Close enough. Imperfect is perfect. Okay, I like that better because that red was really bugging me. Not a good example today, was it? Okay, so I think I am done with the mark making. I like the kind of scribbles through that area. This is kind of a quieter area. I like this area right here too. I love the depth that these pieces are creating because they were from my earlier layers. Okay, let's sign it. So I'm going to grab my pencil again, and then I just pick a corner that makes sense. I mean, I can sign right up here, it's a little bit higher, or I can go lower right here. I'm going to go lower right here. So let me just set this down here. Okay, and I like to sign in pencil, 2 reasons. One is that it is a bit more subtle, and 2 is I have this thing about not being able to sign straight, and I've really worked on it over the years. I always used to like sign downward, and then I was frustrated when I was using like a Sharpie, black Sharpie, and I would have to paint over that area. So I switched to pencil, and now if I mess up, I can just erase it and do it over and not get the paints out. Okay, so signed, and we're done with it. All right, so done with that. Moving on to some other things that I need to get done. Here is the lineup of all the pieces that are done, and some of them will go to my show. Some of them are going to go to Curated by the Sea in Santa Cruz, California, and all of them, let me swing around here, a few more here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them done. They all need to be sprayed with a fixative spray and then varnished. So that'll be the next step for all of these. And let me swing around and show you up close a bit. I love that one especially. It's very different from my others because I use darker colors. Okay, and then this one up here, which I will be putting a video on YouTube on how this one came together. So look for that. Over on my work table here, where I get to sit and do work, I've got a couple of, I think these are 10 by 10s, and 2 inches on the side. These are nice deep ones that I got from Cheap Joe's online many years ago. I went to go purchase some the other day, and they are pretty much sold out, so I need to wait until they get some more in stock. But these are great. I need to finish these 2 with mark making. Those will go to my show. And then over here, these I varnished. So, and I put together a video on how I varnish my art on paper, on wood, and I use that same process for canvas as well. So look for that video, and you can see the shine on these. I used a gloss finish on my smaller pieces, and then I like to use a matte finish on my really large pieces so that there isn't a glare on the large pieces when you're looking at them from across the room. So, and this one too is one of the chunky ones, 2 inches deep on the sides. Today I am photographing several of my pieces, so these smaller ones here, not that large one back there because that one is still work in progress, but I do want to get these photographed. The next step after this is I'm going to be spray varnishing it, and I thought, well, I'll get the photography done now. I could do it after I varnish it. Either way, because my spray varnish is a matte, so there's not going to be any shine on it. You definitely want to photograph your stuff before you put your varnish on it, especially if you're using a satin or a gloss. If you're using a matte varnish, then you don't have to worry about it because there's not going to be a glare on it. But if you are using one of those other 2, you want to do the photography ahead of time. So I'm just getting my camera set up. And I have got a Rebel camera that I bought not too long ago, and I'm going to be honest with you, I really don't know what I'm doing. I need to take a workshop or a class on this because I'm just doing the most basic setup that I know, and then I need to import these into Photoshop so that I can adjust them a little bit, but not by much, because I don't like to over adjust my images, because I want my artwork to reflect what the artwork really is. So I'm very careful about that. In the past, I have done almost all my photography with my cell phone, and that has worked fine, but I'm finding it doesn't work great for reprints. Even though some of them I get a really good quality picture, what I found with my cell phone is that it's not capturing the entire image all the time in a clear manner. So a little bit around the bottom edge is a little bit fuzzy for my liking. And so I'm trying to learn how to use this. I'm kind of forcing myself to do that. And so if you guys have any suggestions on how I can learn this easily and quickly, I would so appreciate it. And yeah, so for now, I'm just going to get this set up, and I've got just some basic settings, and we'll take some photos of my artwork today. Okay, so it appears that my battery is dead, and so I am going to need to take this home. I've got my charger at home in my office, so I will get this charged, and it looks like I'm not going to be photographing today, but that's okay. Like I said, I will take home this artwork today, get the spray varnish down, and then I'll be back to photograph it. So I'm just going to take all of this home and maybe do a little bit more research about how to use this Rebel camera. All right. More to come. So I brought in this bag that has a bunch of artwork that I had taken home, and I did my spray varnish at home. And the reason I did that is because it's a toxic spray varnish that is not one that I can spray inside my studio. So I take these home and then I bring them back once they're dry. And dry time really is only about 5 to 10 minutes. But I leave it there overnight so that they're completely dry. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get those spread out so that I can start varnishing them with Liquitex. All right, let's get that set up. Before I set up to varnish, I actually need to head down to my car and grab 2 more pieces that I brought. I couldn't carry everything in when I came up the first time. So let's go down there and pick that up. And then before we even start varnishing, I completely forgot, I need to photograph my artwork. It has a matte finish on it, so I want to get them photographed. Even though I am going to be using a matte varnish on all these pieces, that's my plan, but I do like to get them photographed before I even get to that stage. So I'll be setting up to photograph, and then I'll be ready to do some varnishing. Okay, let's head downstairs. There's something wrong with my camera. I thought it was my battery, and I charged my battery, but I still cannot get it to turn on. There's no indicator on, and nothing is happening. So I am going to I'm going to go ahead and just start varnishing art, and then I will take photographs later once I figure out what's going on with my camera. So, all right, a little detour today, but no big deal. got those pieces done, and just wanted to show you real quick. This is what I sprayed on them when I was at home. So Krylon Workable Fixative. I've been using this for the last several years. Really love this, and I'm working on putting together a new video that I'll be uploading in the next week or so that will show how I use this in conjunction with Liquitex varnish. Now for today, before I go there, so this one is toxic. You want to spray this outdoors or well-ventilated area. And if you can't be outdoors, this one is non-toxic and it can be sprayed inside. This is a pump spray, whereas this is a aerosol spray. This one is okay, but sometimes I don't get the best coverage with it, and so I don't use it all that often. I only use it when I just can't get outside and I need to get a piece varnished and get it done. So I put several layers of this, whereas with this one, I just need one layer and I'm good to go. So that's an alternative for you, and if you're interested in these, down below in the description box is a link to my favorite art supplies, and you can get those on Amazon or on Blick. And so my first coat is, I did use a matte finish, but I'm using Nova color, not my usual Liquitex. I got this from Nova and I wanted to try it. I have tried it on a few other pieces before, and it's got the slightest sheen on it, just very, very slight. And actually it says here, it's interesting because it says matte varnish, but then it says satin finish acrylic mixing medium and final top coat. So it says matte, but it's a satin. Go figure. Okay, so I'm using it for my first layer, and then I'm going to come in with Liquitex. Let's see, this one. So I'm going to come in with Liquitex matte for my final layer because I really want these to be like really flat. Although, as I say that, I'm thinking maybe my semi-smaller pieces might be able to get 2 coats of this one, and my really large ones with this one. Really large being, I guess this one is my really large one. I don't know, we'll see. There are so many choices, but as an artist, you get to pick how you want to finish each piece. Sometimes I want, you know, that color to stand out even more, so I'll use a satin or a gloss. But on my large pieces, I just don't want there to be a glare, like when you're looking at it and there's light coming in, there's a glare on it. I want you to be able to see the whole thing and not be annoyed like I would be with a glare on it. So anyway, you have lots of options, and we're going to let this layer or this coat dry overnight. Typically it's like 4 hours, but we're already 3 o'clock in the afternoon here, so I'm not going to be here at 7 to do a second coat on it. So I will do that next time I'm in the studio, get that second coat down, and once we get that down, then I'll be able to take photos of it and get them wired up. So, all right, let me clean up and get my brush clean and my hands cleaned. What I discovered is that it could be my battery that is completely dead. Even though I charged it, I had the green light on it, showing that it was full, but according to information that I looked up on the internet, it could be the battery. So I found this one on Amazon, so I'm going to go ahead and purchase this one and get it to me, which I love Amazon because it is going to arrive tomorrow. And then I'll be able to photograph all of those pieces that are waiting for me. Remember that I mentioned before that I don't know very much about cameras, and I felt like I didn't know enough to teach other folks. Well, that is even more so true now, because remember the other day I mentioned that I had an issue with the battery on this camera. I went home, I charged it, it still wasn't working when I brought it back, and so I Googled it, and turns out I needed to buy a new one. So I purchased a new one, I put that one in, and it worked great. And I was able to do everything I needed to do, just kind of testing it from home. And then I thought, well, I'm going to grab the old one and put it in and see what happens. Well, it worked. No clue what I did wrong. I pretty much did the same steps, putting it in, getting my memory card in there, and for whatever reason, it decided now to work. So I have two of them now. I decided to keep the other one. I only spent $15 on it. Good to have a backup. So I'll keep that one in the bag so that I have it when I need it. Anyway, got my camera back and back in the studio here. I'm gonna get set up because I have finished varnishing all of these pieces. I've got 7 of them that are done, and I want to photograph them, and then I'm going to wire them up. So let's go over. I've already got my photography wall pretty much set up, so we'll head over that way next. Okay, so what I will say, what piece of advice I can offer is that I want to fill my screen, or I want to capture as much of my artwork as possible to get the highest resolution. So I've been kind of inching it back and forth, well, more forth than back, trying to get as much of it into my screen as possible, like almost touching at the edges there. Let's see if I can move it over a bit. Whoops, I feel like I'm going the wrong way. There we go. Okay, that's pretty much it. I feel like it's just, the camera is just tilted slightly. Okay, my camera's tilted just slightly, but I think it's pretty much as close as I'm gonna get without starting to, and it keeps shutting off. There's a timer on here for how long I want it on, and I need to go find where it is, because I think I set it for like 1 minute, and I think that's too short of a period of time, so I need to find that. Anyway, I'm gonna have to turn it off, turn it back on again. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and photograph it now. The lighting I've set up kind of at an angle. I'm going to move this one over a little bit. And the reason for that is because I want the lighting to come in at both sides and not just directly straight on. So I've got these two, and I do have my diffuser on it. Before I didn't have that, so I put those on so that the lighting isn't as harsh. All right, so before this shuts off, let me get a photo of it. All right, now I'm going to actually, I think I shut off my timer, which is like 10 seconds. So let me find that in my menu. Okay, so did 2 things. One is I've got it set to turn off after 15 minutes in case I forget to turn off my camera. And the other thing I finally found, see, I'm really not familiar with this camera well enough, but I finally found where I've got a timer. And unfortunately with this camera, which is very strange to me, but I can only set it for 10 seconds. There is no like 2 seconds, 5 seconds, or anything in between. So I'm setting it for a 10-second timer. And the reason I want to do that, as my hair gets caught in my glasses, the reason I want to do that is because I noticed when I went to go take that picture that I was moving the camera when I pressed the shutter. So I want to set the timer so that I can press the shutter, step away, and then there'll be no movement. That way I capture the best picture. All right, so it's counting down. Got a picture. I'm going to take one more. That is almost 9 MB file. So what's going to happen is when I go to crop it, I'm going to put it in Photoshop or my other photo editing, and I'm going to crop it a bit. And once you crop it down a little bit, you lose the size of that file. So this is going to probably give me more like a 6 MB file, which is a really good size for if you're going to be doing prints. So I think we're good here. I'm going to continue on with the rest of these and get them all done. I am done with photographing all of these. My next step will be to take that home, take my card, my memory card home, load them up on my computer. I am going to have to edit them because what I find is that when I'm using this particular camera, or maybe it's all cameras like this, is that I need to lighten the pictures. They all come out really dark. So I'm not sure if I'm doing something wrong in terms of the settings on here, but whatever it is, I go home and I have to lighten them up a bit. As opposed to when I take pictures with my camera, on my camera, they are so close to true pictures that I like them so much better, but I don't get the high resolution that I'm looking for. So I'm trying to learn how to use this. It's really hard, but I believe in the long run it's going to be better if I have higher resolution images. So anyway, that's what I'm going to be doing next. And then next for these is they all need to be signed. They need to be titled, which is going to be a challenge for me. I need to come up with titles, 7 new titles. And then I like to put my card on the back of these as well, so I'm going to put that down. So I'll show you guys what I'm going to do, and then they'll get wired up. All right, let's do that next. What I decided is I'm not ready to put titles on all of these. So I am going to wire them all up. So that's the plan. So first thing I want to do is I want to make sure I know where the bottom is. So on this one, the bottom is here. I want to make sure I'm wiring up the top of it. So I'm going to flip it like so. And next, I'm going to need a pencil. All right, so I've got a number of things. I've got my measuring tape, a pencil, a drill, and I love this drill. It's an old drill, and it doesn't go too fast so that I don't strip the screws. So I like it for that reason. And then I've got a whole bunch, I've got a whole new pack here, and I still have some in here that I'm going to be using. I've got wire, and I'm running low, but I've got a whole new one at home. And I also have wire cutter and pliers. And if you are interested in these, I've got them on my favorite art supply list. So check that out in the description box below. First thing I'm going to do is measure it out. And usually, I think the rule of thumb is to go down 1/3 of the way. So this is a 20 inch, yep, 20 inch. So 20, 21, 7, about 6.5 inches or so, 6 and something. But I always feel like that's too low because when you wire it there, I feel like the top sticks out too far. So I like to wire it up more like 1/4 of the way down. So I'm going to do it at 5 inches. So I'm going to put a mark there, and I'm going to put one over here. And then I've got these guys, which are great. These are a bit more sturdy than these, and I can't seem to find these identical ones. I'm going to hold off on using these, and because this is a pretty small one, And these actually, I mean, they take up to like 50, 60 pounds. And these small pieces are what, not even 5 pounds. But I'm going to just use the smaller ones. So grab 2 of those. Comes with screws. Whenever you buy, try to make sure you buy them with the screws. And you got to pay attention to that because they don't always have it in the description that the screws are not included. Because it's no fun to get these and then have to go figure out what screws to use. All right, so I'm going to put it here. Now some folks like to do it directly across. I tend to like it at an angle. I don't know why, that's just my thing, but maybe I'll do this one directly across. I don't know. I'll just do my angle. I've always done it at a slight angle. So, and I'm pressing down. These canvases are a softwood, so I'm just kind of pressing it down so that I know that it's in. And hold on to it. Whoops, well, that went really well, didn't it? Let me straighten that out. All right. Yeah, that one kind of went in at an angle. All right, there we go. Now it's in place because I could barely move it. So it's good. I love it when I show you guys stuff and then it doesn't work. Because that's just the way it is sometimes. All right. And on these other ones, I mean, there's definitely a right side and a wrong side. And on these, they're flat on both sides, so I guess that's a good thing. I don't have to worry about that. And I just lost my screw. There it is. Okay, let's put this one in. Again, I'm going to come up just at a slight angle here. And I want to do it about the same like I did that one. Maybe right there. All right, let's see if I can get it to go in straight. There we go. That's what I was hoping for. Okay, so that's nice and sturdy. And let's grab some wire. And I'd like to wire it through one side and the other. And then I kind of estimate, you know, about how long this should be. About maybe a quarter of the way in. And then I'm going to kind of pull and do this other side. So you can see me. All right, and I'm just going to take my pliers, cut that. And so what I do is this goes under and then through the hole and then through the opening. And this is where I like to use my pliers so I can really tug on it really well. All right, so that's in. And then over here, I'm going to pull on it as hard as I can. And then what I like to do is I like to pull upward here because it's coated wire and it stretches a bit. So I got maybe like a quarter of an inch right there to be a bit tighter. So over here, I'm going to do the same thing. Go under, over, and through. Grab my pliers and yank on it as hard as I can. There we go. All right, and then I come over here and I just twist it around. Really nice and neat. One twist right next to the next so that it's tightly bundled up. That's the way I prefer to do it. I used to do it like stretched out and I just don't like that look anymore. Same thing over here. I'm just going to keep turning it round so that they're really close to one another. And that just gives it, to me, it just finishes it off with a nice, neat look. And as I mentioned, these are plastic coated, which I like so much better because I don't get pricked with the wire. So the wire is tucked in there and I didn't get it on my fingers at all. I didn't get poked. Okay, so that's it, and let me show you that up a little bit closer. Come around here so that you can see what that looks like. All right, there we go. And actually it ended up moving and going straight across, didn't it? Okay, maybe I should be doing it just straight across. I'm always learning. And so it's got a little bit of a give to it. Okay, so anyway, that's what it looks like. I'm going to continue working on these and get them all wired up, and then I will come back. I'll go home and think about titles, because I like to put my title down here with my signature and the year. And then I like to put my business card in here. So I'll show you how I do that, but for now, I'm going to just work my way through getting all of these wired up.
I wanted to share with you how I finished the back of each one of my pieces. So I put the title, my signature, the year, and I attach also my business card. Now this year I also started writing my name just in case the business card gets lost somehow. So this is now how I complete the back of each one of my paintings. I'm also including a few photos from my art show in Half Moon Bay, California. I had a wonderful time. I got to meet so many folks, and I got to see so many friends, followers who stopped by to say hello. It was a really great experience.
Okay, so I'm going to wrap up this vlog. Although I didn't get a chance to create on canvas or wood pieces like I have here, or paper pieces, I will plan to do something for my next vlog. So I'm going to wrap this one up. We talked primarily about, I was showing you things that I was doing to prepare for a show, which I've got going in a couple of days from now. So I've got a little bit more work to do, like a little bit more varnishing before I am completely done. But I hope you enjoyed this vlog, and if you did, I would so appreciate it if you would give me a thumbs up and also hit that subscribe button. When you give me a thumbs up, it's a simple way of saying that you enjoyed the content, and also it helps your fellow artists be able to find this video as well, because what happens is YouTube will serve that up to a lot more people the more likes I get and the more subscribers I get. So you're helping me out a lot. And down below, if you want to help contribute to the type of videos that I'm creating, there is a button to press that says thanks, and I think it's got a heart next to it. If you want to donate to me, I would so appreciate that. Everything that you guys donate helps me with these videos, and right now what I'm trying to do is I am trying to save up money to purchase a wireless microphone so that when I turn away from the camera, you'll still be able to hear me. So it'll be one that's wireless, I clip on, and it'll follow me wherever I am in the room, whether I'm facing the camera or not. So that's my next big purchase, and again, I so appreciate you guys being here. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit that bell so that you're notified next time I've got a video being released. Okay folks, wishing you a super fabulous and creative day. Take care.